cash apping this and you'll just be next up. I'm doing Melanie right now. No one else is in line. I don't think I had another one come through. So we will be good to go after Melanie. Melanie, when was the last time I read for you? Because I know that I did. I know that you're in here often. Did I read for you in the fall? Late fall, by any chance? Or even like around Christmas? Okay. Good to know, just so I don't like repeat anything and waste your time. Okay, my sweet Gemini rising girl. Okay, so you for sure probably know that Uranus has moved into your first house. So when I think of Uranus, it's like evil genius. It makes me think of Einstein. It's this very eccentric, very intelligent, innovative, calculated, impulsive, spontaneous planet. So, oh my God, so sweet. I'm glad I'm your favorite astrologer. So having that go into your first house of self, identity, who you are, what you look like, brings that sense of eccentric, genius, innovative, but impulsive and spontaneous energy to your identity, who you are, what you look like, your life path, the direction that you're going in, etc. So it's not going to be quite on your ascendant yet. Like, you're going to have a few years until it like really truly is like shaking up your identity, because your ascendant is really going to be the skeleton, the core line of who you are. But having it start to take up real estate in the area concerning self is going to bring you are likely going to be the unexpected thing to other people. Like, you're kind of going to be the thunder, the shakeups, the like earthquake energy. And that's not to say that you won't experience things totally out of left field. You absolutely could. But you are that influence. You are that Uranus energy. So is it going to come into contact with anything? You already had it like trying your sun a while ago. It doesn't look like, well, it'll come into an opposition actually like about next month or so with your natal Chiron in your 7th house. So naturally having it go through your first house of self and identity, it's going to be in an opposition to, so a need for balance with your relationship sector. So that's why I say you will likely be the shock, the unpredictable energy to other people in your life, to people that are very close to you. However, with the opposition being to Chiron is the wounded healer. So that's where we have unresolved pain, wounds, insecurities, vulnerabilities. It doesn't have to be this like malicious feeling of pain or hurt, but rather this like almost wounded inner child where it's just like, this is a sensitive spot. This still stings a little bit. No matter like how much I work on it, it's always going to be something that's just like a little bit of a trigger. So having Uranus come into an opposition with that, at the very worst, sometimes it can be the loss or the fallout of someone close to you, like a relationship that was once very tight starting to have vulnerabilities, and there starts to be like cracks in the foundation for whatever reason. But there might be some sort of shocking, again, out of left field, spontaneous change or shakeup or ending or new beginning with someone very close to you. So again, Uranus doesn't have to be like negative, awful energy. Sometimes it looks like, you and a childhood best friend start going down different paths, or you're just starting to, have distance between you guys, and it's like one of those things you can't reconcile because you're just changing. In another way, it could be that you meet someone new who triggers the need to heal said things in a good way. Like maybe you meet someone who you really, really like, and they're like the first person who's ever actually been truly nice to you, and that alone can be difficult because you're just not used to it. Okay, good to know. So Uranus, first stepped into the same area. It didn't come into a direct opposition with your Chiron last year, but it did start to make its way into your first house last July into the fall, and it went retrograde in September. So probably like, I think it was September 9th that it went retrograde. So then it started to retrace its steps and moved back into your 12th house, which is where it's been since spring of 2018 for about, it was a few months. I think in November, it re-entered your 12th house. So now that it's back in your first house again, it's sort of this like, this isn't your first rodeo. You've been here before. You kind of got a sneak peek, a preview of what was going on last year. And now it's going to be more permanent. And that's not to say that whatever happened last year is going to stay that way, but that you are kind of learning how to embrace, adapt, and work with this energy of like, okay, I have to surrender to the fact that maybe I don't have control over this, or maybe I have to let this thing go. I really like him because he was the first person that was really nice to me. So yeah, it can bring up some vulnerability for sure, because Chiron is like the yearning, the wanting to feel whole, but the sensitivity of like how we act when something is still a little sour. Oh my God, I'm sorry. My cat just scared the shit out of me. You also had Neptune and Saturn give you a little bit of a preview last year as well, moving into your 11th house. It's been in your 10th house, Neptune for like 13, 14 years, and Saturn was in your 10th house for the last 3 years, so since spring of 2023, both of which can bring a lot of confusion, a lot of lack of clarity, a lot of blurred lines, and even like a dry spell or some difficulties to your career sector. However, when Saturn was making its way out, so probably the end of 2024, and then a little bit of maybe fall 2025, fall, winter 2025, you actually had like what can be a difficult transit, but also a rewarding one depending on the way that it manifested. So we can come back to the relationship sector. I don't know why I like moved right to this, but if it's relevant again, I'll mention it. You had Saturn conjunct your natal Jupiter. So Saturn restricts things. It teaches us through taking things away. It teaches us through removing the comfort and focusing on the black and white like meat of something. And it can be difficult because it can bring limitations, frustrations, difficulties, obstacles, hindrances. It can bring something coming down and laying the hammer on you. It can bring an authority figure, rules in the way, stagnancy, some sort of slowness or like sobering reality check. And Jupiter is about growth and expansion and freedom and curiosity and the ability to kind of spread far and wide without any limitations. It's very boundless. So when Saturn comes into contact with Jupiter, sometimes it can be that something that was once free and boundless and kind of provided you with options suddenly started to get very serious, black and white, and cold and restricted. In another way, it can be graduation. It can be, you know, your efforts, your knowledge, your experience starting to pay off in a way that provides you with more authority. It's like earning your stripes in a way. Also in September, okay, and yeah, that's when everything started to go retrograde. But the job has been so hard, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, Saturn tends to bring that sort of, again, it teaches you through discomfort, but it's not to like punish you. The discomfort isn't so that you're like hating your life for no reason. The discomfort is to inspire change and growth, and especially in contact with Jupiter. Again, astrologers say Jupiter is like, oh, everything's going to be so easy. And it's not that everything's easy. It's that it teaches you wisdom so that things get easier because you had to go through them. You had to experience them. So what you're dealing with now could very well be one of those things where like a year from now, you know, regardless of what you do for a job, like let's say someone else starts who's new and you have to train them, like you'll see yourself in them and be like, oh my God, that's exactly how I felt. Like I did not know what the fuck I was doing. This was so difficult. And now you, in hindsight, kind of feel like I've graduated, I've earned my way here. I feel like I am more of a professional. Like when we think of someone, what is it? Like people say professionals like 10,000 hours or something like that. Who you are on the first hour of something to the 6,000th hour is a very different person. So it's really gaining experience, earning authority. It has moved beyond your Jupiter since. It's making its way through your 11th house now, which actually brings a sense of that seriousness, difficulty, challenge, but also taking yourself more seriously when it comes to your social network, the people that you surround yourself with, who you're connected to, maybe professionally networking, trying to be more aware of like how meeting people and who you associate with can actually move you further onto your path, get you closer to your dreams, closer to your goals, allow you to be more strategic with who you socialize with. And that's not to necessarily see people as numbers or something, but you might start to make friends that are older than you or people that have the things that you want already and they sort of provide a ladder for you. My cat. The North Node has been going through your career sector since the very beginning of 2025, since January 2025. So you've had a lot of lessons there for the last year and a half. And now as we finish up this transit, I believe at the end of July, the nodes are going to move into Aquarius and Leo. And now the focus, the spotlight of the North Node is going to move into your 9th house, which has to do with traveling, faith, philosophy, education, lived experience, knowledge, studying, spirituality, really getting outside your comfort zone, exploring beyond your typical 4 parameters, getting more experience under your belt, which can be associated with work. But in the sense of you having some explorative themes with your social life and like the path you truly want to go down in a larger level, like seeing the bigger picture of your life combined with the North Node going through the 9th house, it'll likely be that a lot of opportunities get put on your path that maybe are things you wouldn't have said yes to a few years ago, or maybe wouldn't have interest in at all, where you're just like, I literally don't care about that, or it just doesn't align with me, to where you might have this curiosity where you're like, maybe I should just try it, or maybe I should just visit this city, or maybe I should just go back to school for this thing, and kind of throwing things at the wall to see what sticks, but it's essentially going to reroute you onto the path that you're supposed to go down. You might move. It's going to be a big transit for you because you have so many ninth house placements. You have Mercury here, your Sun, Uranus, and Neptune, and you're also going to be having your nodal reversal as we get through it, because you have your nodes at 22 degrees. So pretty early into the transit, you will have your nodal reversal, which again is when, this will certainly put you on a new path. Your nodal reversal happens around 27 years old, and it just sort of flips you on your head, and it doesn't have to be catastrophic. It just often is like the growing pain transit of like, I'm not where I wanted to be. I'm not where I thought I would be. Things do not look the way that I imagined I would, be experiencing at 18 years old, 21 years old when I thought about being an adult, and that's okay. And it's really embracing the fact that you've lost the plot and kind of like don't have things going in the way that you planned, because oftentimes the things that we think that we want and the direction we think we want to go down isn't even accurate. And this is sort of the transit that picks you up and plops you down where you're supposed to be, even if it's against your wishes, because it's going to essentially lead to fulfillment that you maybe wouldn't have achieved had the plan gone perfectly, the plan. So you're going to have that. It looks like, let me see, I can give you an exact, well, it's likely going to be, let me see, I don't want to give you the wrong answer. It might be right around your birthday, but let's see, sorry, I'm like picking something on my arm. November. Where's Jupiter for you? Jupiter is going to be moving into your third house. So again, a lot of learning, a lot of experiences. Socially too, you might start to make new friends or like build a following online. Yeah, it's literally going to be right around your birthday. Right at the beginning of 2027. So the nodal reversal sounds hard. Is that what you're referring to? When I had my nodal reversal last year because I'm 28, and I felt really like I was thinking a lot about it because I knew it was coming. So I was like, oh my God, you hear about it a lot. Like that's the thing about being an astrologer before you like get to your 30s is like you hear about the Saturn return, you hear about all these things, so you try to get ahead of them. It went very differently than I thought it would. Like I thought my career would completely change, or I thought like I would like move to a different city or something like that. And those things like certainly have come up in terms of like what I've been thinking about, but my life rerouted in the sense that, granted, it was in a different area of my chart. It was in my 5th house and 11th house. Rerouted because I had like practical circumstances go wrong, like with my car and my living situation, but they were all an extension of like what was going on with me socially. So my life rerouted in the sense that it really forced me to look at who I surround myself with and like redefine what friends are. It brought some romantic stimulation to my life that I didn't expect, and like therefore wasn't prepared to navigate on top of so many other things going on. And it very much like, it's not that circumstances completely flipped on me, but it flipped my mind, which is going to essentially directly change where I go, because now I'm thinking very, very differently than I was right before it. I don't know if that makes sense. Like sometimes I think the flipping idea of it can be just that your mind gets like remixed, and like everything you thought made sense, like everything that had made sense up to you up until that point, you're just looking at very differently. And that's why I always say, like, I feel like it's a roller coaster that goes backwards. Like you're so nervous for this ride, you go on it, you go all the way up, and then when you go backwards, you see the same exact ride, but like from a totally different angle where it's just very disorienting. And that's kind of what happened to me. Like I didn't have any major life-altering things happen to me. I mean, they were life-altering, but it was just like I had car issues for months on end, and that had to make me depend on friends. I had a falling out with my roommate, and that changed my living situation. Like things that made me really be like, wow, I thought I had a good idea of everything, everyone, and myself around me, and maybe I don't. Maybe I don't understand as much stuff as I thought I did. So in your case too, it might be extra mental, because it's on the axis of like your mindset, your thoughts, your ideas, your location, your environment, your friends. It's the content you consume, the content you create. You might start being like realizing how much you like certain people that you watch influence the way that you think. Your political beliefs might shift a little bit. You might realize you're in like an echo chamber, even in your real life. You might realize that maybe it's not good for you to watch like true crime every single night before you go to bed. Maybe that's why you're having nightmares. Like it might really zoom in on, like where your thoughts come from. It might make you question why you believe what you believe, or why you perceive what you perceive, and where that is rooted from. I would say that this is a good time too, especially with Uranus in your first house, to zoom in on like self-concept and why you think about yourself the way you do, for better or for worse. Why you think the world works the way that you think it works. Really looking at your personal philosophy is going to probably take front and center stage. So I'm not even necessarily giving you homework, because I think this is just like inevitably going to come up on your path during this transit. And it won't be inherently bad. But again, once you start to think differently, you act differently. And when you act differently, the life in front of you starts to change. So you might end up moving. You might end up going into a different city. You might end up reading a different genre. You might end up stop hanging out with certain friends that, reinforce beliefs that you're starting to like, come out of a little bit. There is the need to, within this, release everything you're familiar with just because it's familiar. Like, it's a good time to question why you do the shit you do. Like, especially if you're starting to realize like you're not really happy anymore, or you're bored, or you're uninspired. It's a good time to self-reflect on like, I could low-key just do whatever I want right now. Like, I don't have to do this daily routine. I'm just doing it because that's what I've always done, and that's just what I'm used to. Or like, I don't have to do things this way. It's just how my parents always did it, and now I'm realizing like I can just not do it that way. I can just do it my own way. Like, really releasing patterns that are existing in your life just for the sake of them being patterns. Jupiter will also be going here. So again, learning, mindset, reading, writing, everything that's very cerebrally stimulating, intellectual, social, chatty, inside and outside of the brain, very stimulated. We talked about the nodes, we talked about Uranus, we talked about Saturn, we talked about Neptune, we talked about Jupiter, we talked about your nodal reversal. I think that covers everything. We'll have a Venus retrograde at the end of the year, around fall, September, October, that will go from your 6th house of work, health, employment, how you take care of yourself, your everyday lifestyle, and then your 5th house of love, sex, romance, children, pregnancy, creativity, personal joy, happiness, like what you do for the sake of enjoying it and just having fun. So that combined with this planet of like newfound authenticity entering the area of your chart that's going to be here for quite some time. I think you're going to have a mental shatter this year, and it doesn't have to be like traumatizing. I think that your mindset is going to shift in a really big way, and that you might, by the end of the year, or at least, a few months into 2027, especially after the nodal reversal, you might just start to be like, damn, I'm really different than I was like last summer, referring to summer of 2026. It's good stuff though. You've also been having like a coming of age transit with Pluto dancing on your Neptune for a few years now, on and off. When I had Pluto go over my Neptune, it was actually a few years ago. It was when I was, I think, 24, 25. It completely rejected everything that I thought I knew and understood about life and relationships and myself. Like, it totally exploded. It like shattered my understanding of the world and my family and my relation, like literally every area of life, and made me almost like, it felt like for the first time I pulled the curtain back into seeing like how life doesn't need to be that complicated, and how you kind of get to choose if you want to live in a complicated way. Like, I mean, that could be different for you for sure, but Yes, and when I had that transit, I had so much time to think, and I think that's why it occurred for me too. I was doing astrology still. I had my business going at the time, but I was with my ex-boyfriend. Dude, I was like low-key homeless, and I just sat in a hotel room all day, and I was like agoraphobic at the time. Like I had such bad anxiety that I just wouldn't leave the hotel room, so I would just wait for my boyfriend all day and sit and think and think and think and think, and it did drive me insane. But when I think back to that time, like it was productive thinking, because I just had so much time to kill that I couldn't do things on autopilot, because I was forcefully like, why does this happen? And why am I like this? And why is he like this? And how did I get here? Like, that's really kind of what it was. There was like steam coming out of my ears, but it was very productive in that case. Guys, when I'm doing these readings, that I don't know if you guys see them, but I get like an AI summary thing that like says exactly what I'm talking about. And it's like kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to see, but, good. See, that's the whole point of it. Let's go. Looks maxing. I feel like you might be on like a similar, like a different expression, hey girl, of the journey that I was on, because that was kind of like, and this, I was like into looks maxing before it was a big thing. Like I was like on the OG Reddit threads, on like Vindicta and stuff like that. But granted, like, I don't know, I could have autism or something like that. Like maybe that's an extension of, I just got very zoomed in on like my understanding of the world shattered. And I was like, oh, you can get what you want in life if you do this, this, and this. And if you do this, this, and this, it's not going to pay off. And it was like life altering to me, because I had always felt like not a victim, but like I always felt like I was getting the short end of the stick in life. And then I realized it was because I was overcomplicating it. Yeah, they were crazy back then, because like, you know, we're what's the word, desensitized to things more now that they've been like normalized. But I remember hearing about MT2, the tanning peptide, in like 2013, because I've always been very obsessed with being tan. Very obsessed. Like the Jersey Shore era like never left for me, truly. And I am Italian. My family gets very, very dark, but my Italian side gets very dark, and I'm mixed with Irish from my dad's side. And so I was always so jealous of the women in my family getting so tan and dark, and I like wanted to look like them, because the women in my family were like and they still are, my pinnacle of beauty, like personal beauty standard. And I remember like when I was, in like 2013, I was probably 15, 16, always trying to figure out how to stay tan, be tan, make tan last longer, like get tanner. And I remember hearing about MT2, and you could buy MT2 off Amazon in 2013. And like now that peptides are big and stuff, I'm like, damn, I cannot believe something that's been in my awareness for so long has like reached mainstream. Funny stuff. But yeah, girl, that is your reading. It's going to be a mix of both for me, because I think so deeply and overcomplicate everything. You're preaching to the choir. I'm the same way. You would think that overthinking provides you with solutions, and it does in some ways, and then it overcomplicates other things. Like the irony, a lot of people ask me with like astrology stuff, like they think I must have it so easy because I know all of this stuff. I cannot explain to you guys how frustrating it is in my own mind. Granted, I do think I have undiagnosed OCD, that I can simplify things and provide such cohesive plans and read people so clearly. And it is incredibly difficult for me to make my own life easy. Even when I know how it can be easier, I still really overcomplicate it. Like it's torturous in my mind sometimes. Honestly, lately I've been like, maybe it's time to get medicated. But I also like don't want to. And medication scares me. Not actually, but like I'm not a big fan of it for myself personally, not for other people. But I think there's going to be a lot of mental transformation for you. Good and bad. Not because something bad's going to happen, but it might be rough at first. Usually, like I was saying this a lot yesterday, usually at the beginning of transits, they start uncomfortable and difficult because you're like being introduced to them. And then as you get through them, you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. And it's kind of like you take the training wheels off throughout the process of it. But I hope that was helpful for you, Melanie. I'm wishing you luck on your path. I'm sure I will hear about it because I feel like you're in here often, and I'm trying to be on here more consistently. Let me see if my cat, she is one of those pests that like wants to come out of the room, and then when I shut her out of it, she wants to come back in. It smells so good in here. Aw, thanks. I love being live too. Like, I really enjoy it. That was something I like started to realize more last year, is it's very when I sit and record like personal readings just like alone in my house, like in dead silence, it sometimes feels like I feel like I get burnt out quicker doing that, because I'm just like speaking out loud and it feels almost like mechanical or robotic. But I like being on live because it feels more conversational, and it allows me to, there's a better flow state I think that I get in, and I feel more intuitive and it's more engaging for me. So that's why I like doing the live readings. But let me try to get out of some of these. Oh, I'll say it on here since it's not fully fledged yet, but I'm going to be hosting a program in June. It's going to be a month long. I am doing live readings right now. It's going to be in June. And I did a little like beta test run of this in February, but then that was when my health really plummeted. So I had to like halt it, and I wasn't able to fully lead it the way I wanted to, because I literally had to like stop doing everything and rest. But that was communicated to like the people that were participating in it. I did it with a group of 10 people, and it's heavily focused on self-concept and kind of guiding you guys into working less hard, like working smarter, not harder, in terms of embracing a flow state in your life that is complementary to your human design and your astrology. And it's very self-concept focused, because truly at the end of the day, like, that is what everything boils down to. And even though I do astrology, like something that now that I've been doing it for so long, I've been doing it for 5 years as a job, oftentimes I feel like there's more I want to give to my clients, because we'll do their reading and I'll say, this is why you are the way you are. This is, you know, what needs to change in your life. These are the issues you're going to have. These are the advantages you're going to have. And then that kind of leaves them with like, you know, especially if they're skeptics to astrology, they're like, oh, okay, this feels like it makes sense. This is real. How do I fix this? Or like, what do I do with this information? And so I could feel that a lot of times I was in this position of like wanting to provide people with solutions, but not quite knowing, like, you know, it being way too much to just email someone back. Like me wanting to be like, okay, you need to understand self-concept, and the way that you think about yourself is the way that your life goes, and you know, that's a lot to explain to someone every single time. So I created this program and did like a little test run of it. Dude, why is this not charging? In February, and it was called Flow State February. And I used people's human design, I used their astrology, and I kind of created, like I gave them a PDF so they fully understood themselves via their human design and their astrology, and what works for them, what doesn't work for them, what environment is best for them, what their strategy is, what their authority is, so that you can make decisions in a way that actually complements your energy for the first time in your life, where you're like, wow, it feels like things are going so much easier and aligned with me rather than not at all. And it's like a week by week module, and it is self-led in the sense that I'm not giving you homework or things that you have to do. I mean, I am giving you homework, but it's not for me to like check. It's more for you to have accountability and guidance in living life in complementary to these things, so that you have a full month to experiment with it and see how much it changes your life by just consistently having self-awareness of your self-concept. And we do like EFT tapping in it too, because that's something that has so like, I don't even have words for how much EFT tapping has helped my life. Especially as someone who, despite what I do for work, isn't very woo-woo. I'm actually very practical and tend to be skeptical over somatic therapies because they just never, I've tried so many different things, especially for anxiety, and it never seems to move the needle much. And EFT tapping heavily impacted my ability to work through anxiety. And I was very early on in EFT tapping too. It was something that was like discovered or created, I guess you could say, the system of creating it back in like 2012 or 2013. And something a lot of people don't know about me is that I actually went to Sandy Hook, Connecticut, Sandy Hook in Newtown. That's where I grew up. I lived there for 25 years, and that's where the elementary school shooting happened in 2012. And the tapping solution, so EFT tapping, was kind of coined after that, and the author of the person who wrote the tapping solution about EFT tapping as a form of somatic therapy wrote it because of the shooting and was trying to help people cope, especially like the children, cope with unlearning fear and anxiety despite having been in such a traumatic situation. And so I was like probably literally low-key one of the first people to like really understand EFT tapping. Thank you so much, Sydney, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. And Twitter too. So what was I saying? Oh, I was very early on in that, and my like story with spirituality and faith and mental health and stuff is I know it like the back of my hand because I've had to tell it so many times, again, in an attempt to help other people. I know when I'm speaking to a client that is going through what I've gone through. And so basically my point in mentioning that is that EFT tapping is also included in the program because it has helped me profoundly, and I want to share that tool with more people because not enough people know about it. So it's EFT tapping, it's a lot of self-concept work, it's money manifestation, that's a large part of it, and human design and getting into a flow state. So if that interests you guys, I don't have it available on my website yet. I guess I could like literally set it up while I'm waiting here since I don't have anyone's reading to do currently, but I'm going to do that for June. I think I'm going to call it Jumpstart June. I'm very excited about it, very passionate about it, because really at the end of the day, when it comes to astrology readings, what I feel like is my purpose, what I feel like, not to sound arrogant, what I feel like one of the gifts that I've been given in this life is the ability to connect to people and break down very complex, especially psychological, emotional things into things that are easily digestible. I know that I have an impact on the way that I speak to people and influence them. The TikTok readings, I don't time them. It's an astrology chart reading. I would assume they're maybe like 15 minutes. I don't time them because I just say whatever I see. Like I just say all the information that I think is going to be impactful to you. I don't hold back any information. I just say what I see. And I usually cover pretty much all the same information per reading. I want to say they're maybe 10-15 minutes. And they are recorded and they are put on YouTube so you can rewatch them later. My purpose, I feel like a lot of it is carrying people from A to B with where they are now to where they want to be going, and forging a clear path for them by helping them understand themselves better. And you can do that with astrology, but you can only do it so much because you can tell someone what to do, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink it, and you can't do the internal work for them, especially if they don't know what to do. Like, it's great to have information about yourself via astrology, but it's not, the next step is utilizing it, and people sometimes need support with that part. So that's really what this program is going to be for, and I'm very excited to do it, especially like beginning of the summer. It's a good feeling to start the summer being one version of yourself and to actually feel like I killed this fucking summer, and by the end of it be like, hell yeah, Like, I did everything I wanted to do, and now I'm closing out the year, like the last quarter of the year, on a wonderful note, especially for people that like go back to school, or, you know, their life picks back up again in the fall. But very excited for that. Okay, guys, if anyone else wants a reading, we can do so. I might get off of here soon, just because I don't want to burn myself out. I still have some other readings to do. I just came on here because some of them were uploading. But I will post about that too on Twitter. If you guys follow me on here but you don't follow me on Twitter, you're missing out, because that's where I am most active. Just in terms of like every day posting stuff on there. TikTok, you guys know I have my phases with. You would for a reading or for the program? I'm like so excited for it. I think it was 9 or 10 people that I worked with last month. And I only was able to work with them for like the first 2 weeks, because of the health stuff, but they were also understanding. Like, literally no one complained. No one had an issue with it, which makes me think that it was like divine intervention, and that it's just going to go a lot more better now this time of year. I think people are more motivated this time of year too, because the beginning of the year you're like, oh, I have time. What can you expect out of an astrology reading? The ones that I do on here just give you a very, very specific understanding of what you're going through currently. And sometimes I do mention things that are in the recent past, so that you just have a better understanding in hindsight. But we do predictive astrology mostly here, so I'll be able to tell you what you can expect in the next few weeks, months. If there's anything super specific that I think is worth mentioning too, I cover that as well. I don't really have any strict rules to it. I just cover most of the major transits and tell you how they're affecting you. And then how you use that information is up to you. But it's primarily predictive astrology. If you do want a reading right now, I don't know if you're speaking generally or currently, but if you do want one now, you can just send the money to the Cash App, and then I can get your information and we can start the reading. But I'm trying to come on here more often too, so if you're just saying generally speaking, I will be back at some point. Guys, I'm so excited to eat this sashimi in my fridge. I made like a very animated plate. I need to get my laptop repaired. This laptop, like, I'm grateful I have it. I'm grateful I have a backup one, but holy moly. It's so slow. I bought, not this one, but I remember I bought myself my first MacBook in 2017. It's probably like $700 or $800. And it felt so good at the time. I felt like it was like so, like, it's funny how much technology evolves to where I'm using this now and I'm like, this shit is not working. Alex said you should do it at some point. Oh, Ryan, wait, I didn't realize that was you. I'm so sorry. We should definitely do one at some point. I can't like see these icons very well, but I'd be down. I hope you've been doing well though. Long time no see. Okay, Sydney, I did get yours. Did you write the information on here? Or hold on, let me refresh it. My fucking posture while I'm sitting in here, guys, it's so bad. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Sydney, just when you have a moment, just send me your birth date, time, and city to the closest accuracy possible, and we can get started. I'm so over-caffeinated today. Okay. And again, for anyone who missed it, this will be uploaded on YouTube later. I think the first one that we did the other day, the first live, like 2 or 3 days ago, just finished exporting onto my phone. So that's a testament to the fact that it just takes a long time, guys. I'm not trying to take that long with it. Not only does the video, like the live video from TikTok take a long time to export, but then uploading it onto YouTube literally takes forever. That's a really funny way to respond to how are you. Well, I hope things improve for you, but that's a nice, reminder of gratitude, living someone else's dream but not mine. Listen, you woke up, you can move your limbs, you can breathe. Oh, you're fine. Wait, where are you DMing me though? Because if you can DM me on, honestly, if you send it here, that's easiest. But if you don't, like, you want your information private, maybe send it on Instagram. Because if I do it on TikTok, then I have to get out of the live, and then it pauses and it gets like annoying. But I'm trying to refresh the chart to put your information in. Yes, okay, let me look at my Instagram. Okay. Young Kales, logging in. I've been trying to be more active on Instagram lately. Oh my god, dude, I'm so sick. Like, I feel so unky with like logins and stuff lately, because why can't I just use my password? Isn't that the point of a password? Like, why do I need to use an authentication app? Like, I don't even know what they're talking. I don't even know what app we're talking about. Hold on, I think I need to pause this really quick to go check it. Give me what app we're talking about. Hold on, I think I need to pause this really quick to go check it. Give me 1 second. Okay, girl, I hate to have you do this, but I actually need you to send your information here, because your DM for some reason is hidden. Like, it's the words are hidden. I see that you sent me a message, but it says they're hidden for privacy or something like that. I don't know why. Ow. I'm really sorry if you wanted it private. I don't know why it's doing that. But hold on, let me pull it up here. Thank you for sending it. January 29th, 2002, 6:34 p.m. Cool. Houston, H-Town. Okay, cool. What month are we looking at? Let's pull back to present day. Houston hottie. Alrighty. Okay, so you're a Leo rising. Yay! Leo risings are gonna have some nice celebratory energy as we get into the summertime. You're having Jupiter move into your first house. So Jupiter is traveling, faith, philosophy, education, expansion, opportunity. It's getting outside of your comfort zone. It is exploring new things. It's pushing beyond your typical 4 parameters. It provides you with opportunity, more things to say yes to, more things to do, more spotlight on you to some degree. So that planet moving into your first house of self-identity, who you are, what you look like, your life path, your life direction, there's going to be expansion around you, around the identity. You are growing both literally and metaphorically. So growing in the sense that you're likely going to be taking up more space, like with saying yes to more opportunity and being offered more things, and even just growing like your assets, your resources, your money, your accessibility, your knowledge and things. You are getting bigger, you're taking up more space, but also maybe having the exasperation of Leo qualities, which is performative, it's creative, and not performative in the bad way, not like you're being performative in terms of like you're acting like yourself more, you're having more fun, you're being more experimental, you're engaging with more joyous things that strike like true actual pleasure for you, creativity. It's very theatrical, it's comedic, it's fun. So there can be what feels like this next up year of theatrics when it comes to having more fun, embracing yourself, being more authentic. All of that is going to start to be front and center stage for you. Sometimes people gain weight with this transit, sometimes they get pregnant, sometimes they just get a lot more attention on them. It's the idea of getting bigger, again, both literally and metaphorically. Love the evil eye, we need that in the chat. So that'll begin for you as we get to the end of June. It moves into your first house June 30th, and it'll be there for about a year. So you'll have this summer to next summer to really embrace all those jovial sort of themes. And Jupiter too is about education and knowledge and traveling. So you might be going to new places, you might be visiting new cities, you might be able to say yes to even more just like short trips, or even exploring places that are local to you that you just like never really go or venture out towards, and starting to find more joy in going, exploring literal uncharted territory. You might go back to school, you might learn something new, you might join a course, you might get a therapist, you might get a mentor, you might, even like when I think of social media, there might be like a Pilates girl that you start really like seeing as a teacher. There might be someone who you are utilizing for spiritual understanding or advancements. You might, if you're religious, you might like start working with a pastor one-on-one. Like there has this sort of, you're either the leader or there's a leader. Love it. Okay, amazing. It's like both the teacher and the student, and how both are kind of the same. Like you can be both the person learning and the person teaching, but the person who's teaching already learned, and that's how they got to that position. So it could be to some degree that you are literally going back to school. That's a very practical example of it. But that you are also feeling like a student of life this year, where you're going through lessons and experiences that are teaching you a lot of wisdom, not because you're learning them out of a textbook, but because you're in them, you're experiencing them firsthand. So it can be both learning and education through a very practical sense of like traditional education, but it can also be being a student of life through the fact that you're going through things you haven't gone through before, and it's forcing you to grow. So what's important about this for you, it's going to be extra personal to you because one, it's already in your first house. Two, you have a very crowded 7th house of relationships. It is, you have a stellium here, meaning that there's like more than a handful of planets. You have your Venus, your Sun, your Neptune, your Mercury, and your part of fortune. So what this means is that as Jupiter goes through your first house of self, identity, who you are, your life path, what direction you're going in, the oppositions are one by one going to cause a sense of tension or a need for balance with everything that has to do with other people close to you. So this doesn't always have to be romantic. It usually is. It's usually just the person you're dating if you're with someone. But if you're single or you're like, that just doesn't apply to me, this can be business partnerships, interpersonal relationships, someone that you have like financial agreements, contracts, collaborations, you have to be on the same page as them. It can, even if you work in like a competitive field, or if you're in like athletics or something, it can sometimes be your competition, like healthy competition, or even like open enemies, people that are like, you both know you don't really get along. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. God, I have not spoken to someone that had that experience yet. That's so specific. I'm wondering, so if you worked, so Jupiter rules like flying and airlines and stuff like that. Do you plan on staying in that industry? Is it something that you are like passionate about? Even if you're not working with like the legitimate planes, like Jupiter is traveling, and it is foreign matters, foreign relations. It's air, like anything having to do with traveling via air or water. But I'm wondering, because that planet is still going through your first house of self and identity, if that's something that's still going to be relevant to you for whatever reason. Okay, so you don't want to work there. I want to see what points in your chart to having recently lost your job. Oh, you just had Pluto go over your natal Mercury. So that's usually a shift in circumstances, and Mercury is also travel, but it's also like your job. It's something that's involved in your day-to-day life. Oh, okay. Okay. This is going to be so annoying to hear, especially if you're stressed about job security and you're like financially tight. It's literally going to be the most annoying thing I could say to you, but You're having the North Node go through your not your first house, your second house of money, security, safety, all of that. Or I'm sorry, the South Node, which is usually a lesson in having to surrender to the fear and the lack of security that comes up when your physical resources run dry. So maybe you do have like savings and stuff like that, but if you're in a really tight position, I want to validate you in saying that astrologically there's something that does reflect that you have to like almost cultivate how to learn how to feel safe and secure, even if all things, all resources, all variables point to you should be stressed right now, you are unsafe, you're in a very bad position. And I know that that's like easier said than done, but the South Node going through the first house, this is a much longer storyline too. Okay, yeah, your nervous system. Okay. First of all, I'm very sorry. I'm very, very sorry you're going through that. It's so scary too when it's job related stuff because all the dominoes fall. Like it's one thing that leads to another. Like you can't really have one with the other. When the job goes wrong, then the living situation goes wrong. So I'm at least happy for you that you didn't like get yourself in there and like everything was signed, sealed, delivered. And then you were like, oh my God, how are we literally going to pay for this? Like while you're already in a new space and having to really stretch your resources. But the South Node going through the first house, why do I keep saying that? The South Node going through the second house has a tendency to drain the resources and the money and the income, or force a very hard lesson around materialism and resources by taking them away so that you learn how to be self-sufficient or feel safe and secure, again, even when all of the tangible practical matters literally say and point to the opposite. So what's going to be the advice I want to give you and how I want to encourage you, and again, in a way that's going to be so annoying, is that you need to find a way to regain control and cultivate that safety and security up here in order to have it like re-manifest tangibly. Because, and this is coming through from someone who, please trust me when I say, literally my entire life up until I was 26, literally broke, had nothing, constantly in survival mode. If you are activated from a place of fear and desperation and survival, that's literally all you're going to be able to continue living in, because you're in this state again of like a wrecked nervous system, and everything feels like a threat and everything feels like this is a risk, and like everything is sort of like a threat to your safety because you already are kind of like going without to some degree. You need to find a way to, especially with your boyfriend, like thankfully you have a partner in this, and the North Node is actually the opposition of the South Node going through a second house of money. The North Node going through your 8th house is about like trust and surrender and having to lean into one another and partnership and intimacy and transformation, transmuting something bad into something positive. This could be a really good opportunity if you have the ability to sort of conceptualize turning a blessing or a curse into a blessing, to put your minds together like in a partnership sense. Like you might get something really positive partnership wise, intimacy wise, transformation and strength wise by enduring this situation together, and again having to like almost move the focus in the spotlight from the practical matters being unsavory to what this can do for you, one, within your relationship, but also two is better than one, like being able to almost emphasize the partnership themes together. The North Node is then also going to move into your relationship sector for the next year and a half. So I think inevitably this is going to forge and force a lot of attention on recognizing, especially while you're going through a hard time, who is there for you, what it means to be a friend, what you expect out of the people around you, how you show up for them and how they show up for you, especially since you're the one like kind of in the hot seat right now. I will say again, with Jupiter moving into your first house, I'm almost like not super worried about you. Like I think that you might find a maybe sooner than you think turnaround, because again, Jupiter going through the first house is typically celebratory, is typically like I lucked out, or like things are moving forward. Like I don't really see something awful on your horizon, if I'm being completely honest, which is probably the best thing to hear, I guess, when you're going through the situation you're going through. I'm looking at Saturn too, because Saturn teaches through going without. Okay, so Saturn restricted and limited your freedom and closed the typically running floodgates of your Jupiter literally like 2 weeks ago. And kind of just sort of came off of your neck, just took its foot off your neck. It was also in a conjunction to your Mars, and that is very much like stepping on the gas and the brakes at the same time. Someone else had this transit yesterday, and I was saying that it feels like you want solutions, you want to move forward. It's not that the drive or the motivation isn't there. It like literally has nothing to do with your desire to find solution. It's that it's like, you take 2 steps forward, 10 steps back. You try to do this, you try to get this solution, you try to make this thing work, and it's like no matter what, you keep hitting a wall. It just keeps getting in the way. The opposite way that we can look at this is that it's like, you're like, I just want to relax. I just need to calm down. I just need to soothe myself. I don't want to do anything right now, but you can't rest. You can't sit down. There's a million things you have to do because you can't, this isn't the time for you to just focus on relaxation. And that's not me saying that you shouldn't. That's usually how the transit feels. So I say stepping on the gas and the brakes at the same time because it's like you want to move forward, but you can't, or you need a rest and you're not allowed to. Or like being in a straitjacket and being shot with adrenaline. Like you have this surging need to figure something out, move forward, find solutions, but you are restricted physically and you literally cannot make that magic happen. I really think, like, honestly, this goes back to what I was saying with the self-concept and stuff like that. Like, so much of our circumstances start in our mind, and that's also not me. This is a totally different conversation. I don't want to get too far off on this, but this isn't me saying you're in the situation you're in because you weren't being positive enough or you were being negative and that's why you're in your situation. I would never say that to someone, and it's just not true. But the best way to pull yourself out of this usually comes from a place of having enough faith to operate like you already got it figured out. Like God would never play you like that and never put you in an awful position, and therefore you're more open-minded to, your eyes and your ears are peeled to more opportunities of resolve and of solution because you're not thinking, oh my God, I'm not safe, this isn't going to work out, I'm going to die, I'm going to be in a bad situation, I'm going to lose my housing. That creates blinders to where you're not going to be able to see all of the things around you that are moving easy, are providing solutions, and are available to you at any time. So I know that it's easier said than done, especially with the position that you're in, but try to maintain that open-mindedness and optimism. But yeah, if it helps validate you, you just had like a very shitty transit, like a textbook, like, oops, that looks like they're going to have a hard time transit. And thankfully it's behind you now. It likely, I don't think it retrogrades back to this. So you don't have to even deal with this for like another 27 to 30 years. So it's nice that that's behind you. It's always nice to hear that you have the transit in hindsight rather than like you have something bad coming up. But yeah, Jupiter moving into your first house, I love that. What I was trying to say before we started talking about the job stuff was that it's going to be in an opposition to so many things in your 7th house. So while you're dealing with things that are, very practical and have to do with resources right now, I think it's going to ironically show you a lot and reveal a lot to you about your closest relationships, for better or for worse. That's not saying that like something bad's going to happen. It just teaches you about reliance and dependence and trust, and how sometimes it's 80-20, compromise, teamwork, partnership, finding balance, and how, like, I feel like I always end up saying this to someone on the live, like if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that it's more sustainable to collaborate with people because we're humans and there's just like an instinctual need to have community for especially situations like this. But this is a year-long transit. I really truly do not think you're going to be in this position for much longer, but you can expect over the next year, starting at the end of June, to one after another have these things that have to do with other people in your life feel like they're affected, and you might be the one affecting them as well because you are Jupiter in this case, and it's creating opposition or tension with other people. They're not all inherently bad either because Jupiter is a very positive planet. It wants to give you good things, but it can sometimes be overwhelming. So what this means is while you're like this rising star this year, sometimes it can be that you're doing so well or taking up so much space or becoming so wise and evolving so much that it's just rubbing other people wrong, or they're not at the same pace as you, or you're not able to pull them up with you, or they're struggling with jealousy, or they can't keep up, or they're just not in the same place as you. So like it's hard to celebrate you and be super happy for you when like maybe they're not really happy in their own situation. Like there can be a few things like that. Like you're just shooting forward so fast and you're like almost passing them by. And even if you're not like, you know, you're a kind person that like likes to build and bring other people up, there might be some lessons this year about how like you can't do that. And sometimes when you try to do that, it just pulls you back down. It's like the crabs in a bucket mentality. The opposition that you'll have to Venus first is going to be the first opposition, and that's usually not even a bad one. If anything, that's like quite celebratory. Sometimes it can be engagement. It can be a pregnancy transit. It's also going to be, it's actually going to be opposite your Uranus first, which sometimes is fallouts, breakups, fall throughs, separation. And I wouldn't say it's always bad. If anything, this might be a positive one where you might, like if you have a friend that's low-key a hater, or there could be some sort of distance with someone that you're just in the long run happy to, like in hindsight, it's like that was a good choice, that was a good decision. Something like that might occur. Then it will oppose your Venus, then your Sun. So I'm going to give you a few dates because you do have like pregnancy, engagement, transits, and if that's not something you want, just be careful. If it is something you want, it's worth looking forward to. At the very, very least, it's just going to be a really good week during these transits. It's usually quite celebratory and feel-good energy. Oh, I'm glad you follow me on Twitter. Okay, love the ring, love the ring. Thank you for the clarity. Okay, let's see. Sorry, this thing, you know it's very slow. Okay, very end of August, Jupiter will oppose your Venus. Incredible romantic relationship expansion, celebratory transit. Then as we get further, it's actually gonna oppose your Sun earlier than that. So the end of August might be the like final celebration after what seems to be like just a really good summer for you. All of August seems pretty celebratory because it opposes your Sun in the second week, middle of August, and then by the end of August it opposes your Venus. So really the second half of August, look forward to it. That's going to be a very good part of the summer for you. It's also going to be trine your Mars, so you'll likely have a lot of energy and drive and motivation, especially if it has to do with school. I know you said you're going back, so there might be something celebratory there, or where you're, if you're doing like a fall semester or something too, this is likely you ramping up for that, like the excitement and the drive and the motivation of like getting back into it. You'll have Mercury here too, so getting in that mercurial mindset, which is very much like focus, structure, routine, connecting the dots, getting from point A to point B, filling your day up, a lot of cerebral energy, a lot of intellectual energy. It has a lot to do with reading, writing, learning, communication, sometimes traveling. I would be curious if you're maybe, let me see if I can find the exact date, if you're maybe going on vacation or traveling this summer in July, I want to say, especially within your relationship. Because it looks like the second half of July maybe, because you'll have Jupiter opposite your Mercury, so sometimes that can be traveling, or even just like even if you're traveling for work, it doesn't always have to be vacation oriented per se, or that might be something having to do with school as well. We talked about the nodes, we talked about Uranus moved into your for Jonitza, I just got your Cash App, so we'll get to you after. Thank you for sending it. Uranus just moved into your 11th house, so that can sometimes be a pivot in your larger dreams, your larger path in life. That might have been something like, especially with school, that you initially decided last summer. It moved into this area of the chart last July, and sometimes it brings a pivot or just a total new direction or change to your larger dreams and ambitions, what you envision for your life, and making a decision that aligns with that. Sometimes it brings changes to your friendships, to the groups and communities that you're a part of. This will be a 7 to 8 year transit as well, so it is long and it will take a while, but sometimes the beginning of its ingress into the sign can indicate a change in that. Also, Uranus at the end of this transit maybe in like very early spring of 2025, did you move or did you have like a crazy emotional interruption or something with mom, home, family, living situation, pregnancy, fertility, physical body? Did you have just a very spontaneous, unexpected, or impulsive thing happen? Did you move? Did you, anything like that? An emotional earthquake of some sort? I would be curious about that. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but it's because Uranus squared your moon, and sometimes that throws someone off on a whim, like something very unexpected happens to them. But on Good Friday, I threw a glass. What does that mean? Can you please give me more context on that? I'm dead. I know that that's like so one off, but it's like I had to mention it because it looks like it was definitely last year. Maybe there was a little bit of it at the end of 2025 too. I'm just talking and being dramatic. I love that. You're inspiring me to throw glass. Was that, yeah, I want to know when that was because I really don't know what month it is off the top of my head. It was last year. But it might have been the end of 2025 too. Because it re-entered into that territory for you. Like, maybe around Christmas, Thanksgiving. If it even got that far, because it's at 24 degrees. I don't think it even went back that far. It was likely spring, early spring, mid-spring of 2025. Okay, thank you. That is Uranus moon. It usually has to do with the mom, the family, or the living situation. So July 7th is the day that Uranus moved into the new sign. So prior to that, it was... Okay, that makes more sense. There's usually a shock with the mom, or someone has to like evacuate their house, or something just like very unexpected occurs for them. But anyways, that's like besides the point. Why did I even get into this? Oh, we talked about Uranus moving into your 11th house, Jupiter moving into your 1st house. With the Jupiter transit, the contradiction is that you're going to be growing a lot and learning a lot about yourself, and then you're simultaneously going to have to shed a lot about yourself and realize where you get in your own way, you're self-sabotaging, you're the problem. In order to get closer and build more intimacy with your closest relationships, you have to realize where you're a little bit of a knucklehead, or maybe where you're stubborn, or you prevent things from progressing as efficiently as they can be, or getting closer to other people. But simultaneously, your relationships do fadedly get more celebratory as well. I'm going to give you another date because you have another incredible date coming up. We said second half of August, I think, right? I want to tell you when the North Node is going to conjoin your Venus, and then I think we're good. If I'm not mistaken, this is me talking to myself. You're probably not going to follow what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure we had like a full moon or a new moon at 13 degrees of Leo, which is where your Venus, or oh no, it was in Aquarius. Okay, it was opposite you. Literally ignore me, I'm talking to myself. Oh damn, this isn't for a while, but it's worth knowing. Oh my god, my posture. The North Node is going to conjoin your 7th house Venus next June as well. That can also be an engagement transit, just so you know. That is so sweet. What kind words. Thank you. Thank you, girl. I hope that was helpful and provides you with some insights. This will be on YouTube in a few days, probably early next week. I'm not in Miami. I've actually never lived in Miami, but that was where I wanted to move before, like when I was still in Connecticut. And I probably still will at some point. But I'm in Tampa. Why am I biting my lips so hard? Yes, girl. Yes, girl. Yeah, I'm in Tampa, but so many people I read for are from Miami. Teffy was like the one that moved into the new place. Ugh. That is something I cannot decide for you, but let me see. Are you like obsessed with this place? Or is it just like, it's not that big, like big of a deal. We could find something else. And is your boyfriend still working? No, she has a very specific situation. She worked for Spirit and just got laid off because of their shutdown. So they were about to move into a new place and she doesn't know if she should just move in. I just need to leave my current place. I'm going crazy. It's just a noisy area. Okay, if the objective is I need to leave where I'm at rather than I need to move into this place, for the sake of being practical, I would say balance something that makes more sense financially given your circumstances, but do not sacrifice your comfort. Like you will find more success signing a lease to something that's $200 more and you're absolutely obsessed with it than sacrificing the $200 because you're in a rough spot and you're gonna be so uncomfortable even when you figure out your next job and stuff and you're like, fuck, I wish we didn't like sign to this place. Because I do think it's like bad vibes and I think you're communicating bad things when you sign something that is less than what you want and deserve just because you're making decisions from a place of fear than making decisions from a place of faith. Because then if you're going to sleep in a place that you're very comfortable and you feel good about it, you have gratitude being there, that's gonna, again, like put you in this better mindset and place and like energy of then getting a job, then figuring that stuff out. And I don't know, maybe that's bad advice and someone else would tell you to downsize and to panic, but that, at least for me, has never worked. And again, as someone that has lived in survival mode the majority of my life, every time I've like tried to be frugal or strategic or smart with my money and sacrifice my comfort, I just stayed in that position. And every time I've taken a leap of faith and been like, I'm just gonna figure it out, and been happy and comfortable, it literally dropped in my lap and came so much easier. Okay, if he has a job and he got a raise and you have money saved up, you're fine. You're gonna be fine. You're not like, if you're not at risk of like literally being in a housing crisis where you might not have a roof over your head, then I think it's worth the temporary discomfort because you're gonna figure it out. You're just gonna get another job. Yeah, no, see, that's not a good state to be in. And maybe like I know it doesn't feel nice to think of things this way sometimes, but like when it rains, it pours, and maybe the job thing happened while you're already unhappy living there because you're supposed to do a big revamp. You're just supposed to kind of scrap what everything looks like now so you can start over somewhere else. So it'll be a very nice new beginning because you won't be at the job anymore. You didn't want to work at the airport anymore anyway. So it'll be good. I'm truly not worried about you, and you don't even have like difficult transit. So I think you're going to do great. Okay, Fernanda. And thank you for trusting me, and I hope that was helpful to you. September 18th, 1997. September 18th, 1987. You're welcome. And a possible engagement period. Come on, you're gonna have a good summer. You're certainly gonna have a good August. a.m. Nanda, what city were you born in? Of course, girl, that's what we're here for. Oh, thank you. I didn't realize you sent it here. Okay. Alrighty. Oh my god, I'm being so loud. Okay. Nanda, you are a Libra rising. I think you're the first Libra rising that we're reading for. What do I want to say to you? Oh, hello. Okay, because you're a Libra rising, Aries rules your relationship sector. The Aries area of everyone's chart is super, super active right now because we have Neptune and Saturn having recently moved in there. They did initially move into your relationship sector last like February, March. But the reason that it is more impactful now is because they're going to be here more permanently for the next few years. So Saturn, the image I like to give Saturn, in order for you to like really understand its energy, is Saturn is like an ex-veteran grandfather, very militant, not affectionate. He's pretty cold, but you know, he still loves you because he teaches you about respect and taking yourself seriously, not cutting corners and working very hard. This sort of serious stoic stature, right? That is Saturn. Neptune is this like free-flowing, free spirit, going with the vibes, doesn't like to follow the rules, is very emotional decision-making, very vibey, sensitive, intuitive energy that doesn't really care about structure and things having to be right, wrong, black, white, whereas Saturn is very structured and doesn't care too much about the emotions of something. Saturn values grit and strength and wisdom, and Neptune values alignment and faith and feeling. So they're very different, two very different expressions planetary wise. So having them move into your relationship sector can feel contradictory and a little disorienting because Saturn through the relationship sector, which is going to be here for the next 3 years for you, for about spring 2029, can feel like relationships get harder, they get more strict, they're more boring, they're uninspired, they start to get very serious in a way where they just start to lack the magic of romance. If it's a romantic situation, it can sometimes feel like you create distance with people super close to you. It can feel like you're having a dry spell and that maybe you're very alone or depressed, or you feel like you don't even have anyone you're super close to anymore. It can create even if it's not emotionally, like if you're just more busy or the people in your life are more busy, it can feel like, who do I even hang out with? Or like, I'm so busy with work all the time, I don't even get the time to be frivolous and have recreation hour with my best friends. Or they're more like, maybe my friends are getting married and therefore I'm single and I don't get to see these people anymore. There can just be a little bit of like a coldness or the need to be a lot more disciplined, responsible, and structured with your closest relationships. There can be what feels like some karmic lessons where things get harder and harder and harder because you're supposed to do something differently than you've done up until this point. You're supposed to make a hard decision. There's a sobering wake-up call. The relationships are just getting harder and you're like, maybe this isn't supposed to be this difficult. Like, what do I do about this situation, this person? While Neptune sort of completely blows your understanding of reality out of proportion. You're wearing rose-colored glasses, you're turning a blind eye, you're brushing things under the rug, you're choosing to ignore certain situations, you're playing stupid, you're pretending you don't know what's going on, you're making emotional decisions, you are doing maybe what's not right for you, but it's just easier, it feels familiar, you are lying to yourself, someone's lying to you, there can be deception, there can be infidelity, there can be a lot of emotional baggage going on with you or your partners. It can feel like someone is using you. There can be some level of just like not feeling like you're seeing things clearly, getting a gut feeling, but not having any physical evidence of like why you should be trusting this gut feeling. So two very different expressions, right? So when you have them both in your relationship sector at the same time, you are kind of being encouraged to follow these instructions of somehow being both more open-minded and trusting your intuition while also being very practical and black and white in the way that you operate through them. So my advice to you would be, especially because, well, this isn't even going to be until next year. So if some of this you're like, girl, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, it might be because it hasn't come into contact with any of your angles or your planets just yet. It will as we get into about summer 2027. That will be where it starts to really be impacting your relationships and your life on a pretty undeniable level. But as of right now, and again, since spring of last year, they first entered here in February and March of last year, and then they went retrograde at the end of the year around like the holidays. Someone new could have come on your path. You could have met someone new. You could have been with someone for the last few years and started to have a wake-up call with them. Yeah, it can be your family. It's not always limited to romantic relationships. It can just be interpersonal relationships, people that you're close with, people that you're supposed to be on the same page with. You're supposed to have that sort of trusted unity and partnership and teamwork with them just starting to not work anymore. It's like the team or the partnership gets stale, or it feels like you don't want to do it anymore, they don't want to do it anymore, or maybe it doesn't get stale, but you're like, why do I feel like I can't trust this person anymore? Or why do I feel like something is up? Like I'm getting a feeling. So there can sometimes be too, I'll say paranoia, where like maybe something isn't wrong, but you're starting to overthink things, or you're starting to feel a little delusional, or you're making like emotional decision making when you should be focusing on the black and white truth of the matter. So it really won't affect you too strongly. I mean, it will affect you, but you're not having those like very specific to you transits until next summer onward. But it's something to be aware about, so that if new people come onto your path, or even people that you're close to already start to feel like not right. Okay, yeah, start to feel not right. You need to sit with yourself, and either you want to find balance and combine faith with fact. You want to be able to look at what makes sense on paper and that you're not getting too carried away with, but also knowing what is and isn't sitting right, and make decisions based off of combining the two. Yeah, it can certainly be projection, because that's the thing about Neptune. It's a lost feeling. It's uncertainty, it's paranoia, it's distrust. And having it go through your 7th house too can be that you're being affected by that. I know that that's not for the person I'm reading for, but it's worth mentioning that anything that goes through the 7th house is other people to you, because it's opposing your 1st house of identity, of you as an individual. So it could be that everyone else is being weird. Everyone else is being super serious. Everyone else is being cold. Everyone else is being distanced. That's where you need to just prioritize self and let, the people fall where they need to fall, and let who you can't take with you drop out of your life. And I know that's easier said than done, but oftentimes you can find that it's a very tight, tense period of your closest relationships. And with Neptune, it can be very disorienting and create a sense of like a veil or a curtain or wool that gets pulled over your eyes, where you feel like you don't even know up from down anymore. Good. That's the positive side of Saturn, is it can be cutthroat. And that's kind of the energy you want to have when something gets, like when Neptune acts fishy, you want Saturn to come in and handle business. When you think you're being too like boring and you're sucking the life out of something that could be enjoyable, you want Neptune to invite in being open-minded and bringing in some magic again. So it's really just combining the two. That would be my advice as far as your relationship sector right now. Those are two of the other bigger ones. You also had Uranus going through your 8th house since spring of 2018. So it's about like an 8-year transit. And Uranus is unpredictability. It is things shaking the table. It's instability. It is really unexpected situations and unusual circumstances, and like a level of shock factor, impulse, or spontaneity. And that was going through your 8th house of things that you share with other people. So whether this be complicated finances, this can be a mortgage, this can be alimony, this can be child support if you don't have a kid or you're not married, this can be that you had a roommate that you both had to split rent with, this could be someone that even if you didn't share money, you had trust with. It's trust and transactions, both literally and metaphorically. It can be, oh, hey Shirley, love you girl. It can be where you are merging with other people, like you're sharing assets, you're sharing trust. There's some level of you take their hand and they take yours, and you're in something together, even if it's like an unspoken agreement to some degree. So it's transformation, it's letting go, it's change, it's literal and metaphorical death as well. So since 2018, you've had Uranus really like creating a lot of ups and downs in this area, but it just entered again for the 2nd time. Your 9th house, its first ingress into here was last July, and now it's here again to stay for the next 7 to 8 years. It's starting a new chapter here. It's bringing that level of shock, unpredictability, spontaneity, impulse, and unexpected situations or unusual circumstances to now your 9th house, which is traveling, faith, philosophy, education, getting outside your comfort zone, exploring uncharted territory. It's knowledge. If you do anything, whether it's career or recreational, with speaking, talking, writing, broadcasting, podcasting, journalism, it can be legal themes sometimes unexpectedly happening. Oh, you are so sweet, Shirley. Thank you. I use whole sign in particular. I did talk about hantavirus on Twitter. If you search it, you can see that I mentioned it there. But Uranus through the ninth house too can sometimes be moving. There's a unexpected shift with your living situation, with your environment, with the people that you're connected to, with your mindset. There can be a spiritual awakening. There can be a total shift in your understanding of something. Very like unexpected life lessons, like, because the ninth house is about the wisdom that you gain through experience. So Uranus here can be that you just start getting tossed a bunch of things that you weren't prepared to and that come out of left field, and it teaches you to be more resourceful in terms of rolling with the punches. In February, and your ex was telling you about suing you. Amazing. Okay, so yeah, in February, that's when Saturn and Neptune, literally right around Valentine's Day, actually moved back into your relationship sector. And that sounds incredibly on par with Saturn and Neptune moving into here. So that can, I mean, that's like a poster child effect of sometimes what this can do to the seventh house. And I don't want to discourage you into thinking it's going to be awful for the next few years, but there's a lot of karmic lessons that occur here. Sometimes the first half of the transit, like I said before, is difficult. And by the end of it, you feel a lot more self-assured and you know what you expect out of relationships. You have better boundaries. You know the standards that you hold onto other people, and you don't waver as much, which is good because standards and boundaries and expectations further protect you moving forward so that you don't get into the same sort of situations or connections that you're currently dealing with. You're going to be having your Saturn return in the midst of this too. So, I mean, you're really not going to be having that for a while. I actually have my Saturn at 19 degrees. You have it at 18 degrees. So let's catch up because you and I are going to be having it at the same time. But we'll have the first pass of it next spring of 2027. And then I believe it'll go retrograde, and then we'll have another pass of it, I believe, in 2029. So you're getting the lead up to your Saturn return. One of your largest life lessons is around karmic lessons with your closest relationships. That is in your birth chart. It will be like that your whole life, but this is going to be the peak, the climax of you having to learn this in a big way at this age, and then again when you're middle-aged, and then God willing when you're like 90. The Saturn return itself isn't that long. Like some people like to think of their Saturn return like as soon as Saturn enters their sign. So you could say since the beginning of, like, you could say what happened in February was like a preview of what's going to be relevant to you over these next 3 years, because that was its ingress. So its moment of moving into your relationship sector. But your true exact Saturn return isn't even occurring this year. It will be next year. And again in 2029, because it's going to go retrograde. It might even happen in 2028 as well. But it's not anything worth losing sleep over. Like, the thing that I try to tell people about your Saturn return is it's very nice to have foresight of what is on its way to you so that you can act accordingly. Like, me giving you this information should set off the light bulb that, was this your ex-boyfriend? Yes. Okay, so that's good that it's your ex-boyfriend. Like, if this was still your current boyfriend, the blinking red light should be an astrologer's telling me I'm gonna have a really strong life lesson with my relationships next year. So the silly thing to do would be to stay in this relationship, ignore what I'm saying, cross your fingers and hope for the best. Where you have this knowledge, it's going to be in the back of your head now. You're still going to have to learn the lesson, but it's going to soften the blow a lot if you're, making decisions with that awareness. I'm not trying to stress you out. I know it's stressful, but like, the best thing about a Saturn return is like, if you're not cutting corners, if you're being smart, if you are being wise, and you know better and you do better with what you know, your Saturn return can sometimes be the reward coming early, where like you get to the finish line of your Saturn return and you actually meet someone new who's incredible and matches your expectations because you were doing everything right. The Saturn return only like truly hurts when you know better and you're kind of like not doing better. That's when I feel like it wipes people out, because it wipes you out so you learn the damn lesson. Like, you can, usually when we have to learn lessons, we get all of the breadcrumbs on the way there, but we just ignore them, we brush them off, we think we can skate through it, we think we can cut corners, and then the Saturn return is like, haha, you thought you dodged this. Nope, like now you're really gonna learn and you're never gonna make this mistake again. So yes, see, you're doing everything right. I'm not worried about you. You're gonna be fine. And your Saturn return, like, guys, it inevitably happens. You can't like make it not happen. So if you have any control what you can control, don't worry about what you can't, and control your relationships as much as you can, and it can go incredibly. Like, truly, you could meet someone incredible, someone older than you. You might be engaged in the next 2 years, and like, that could sound silly now, but by the time you get there, you never know. I will say though, something I want you to be aware about that I somehow did not realize this whole time I was yapping was that Saturn will conjoin your moon this year, and probably again next year. That's a very, very difficult transit. It is. It can be very lonely. It can be very depressing. It will be short-lived in the sense that it will probably only be very strong for like 2 weeks or so. I actually want to say you might be having it. Oh, damn, I'm looking at a year ahead. Hold on. Let's see. Saturn's at... Okay, we're in May. Sorry, 1 second. I want to make sure I'm giving you the exact window. Okay, it looks like it's gonna be maybe the very beginning of July. So your moon is at 15 degrees. I'm trying to see when Saturn's gonna reach 15 degrees because that would be a period of time where I'd say to tread lightly. I think I said this to someone yesterday. Not a good time to run the red light. Not a good time to cheat someone. Not a good time to cut corners with something and think that you're gonna get away with it. You want to be on your best behavior when you have a Saturn transit like this. Because it's to your moon, it's going to be emotional or having to do with your home, family, or living situation, or sometimes your physical body. Like sometimes you can get sick. Sometimes, be mindful of don't jump off any roofs or anything like that. Don't break a bone. But usually this is going to be in a time of emotional difficulty. Actually, you literally luck out right away because Saturn only reaches 14 degrees, but it will be close enough to your moon where you may feel it. It's going to be next spring, I believe, next March or April, where you actually have Saturn conjunct your moon. Let me see. Yeah, Saturn moon conjunction is difficult. But yeah, it actually looks like it's going to be next spring, but you might feel it this July and August because it's going to be hanging out at 14 degrees and your moon is at 15 degrees, which means that's very, very, very in close contact. There might be something with your home, family, living situation, mom, physical body, anything around fertility or pregnancy yourself or your relationships that might just feel tight. There might be some tension around it. So just be mindful of that. Tread lightly, try to be gentle with yourself. It won't last that like forever, but it might be a time where you just feel like a little bit of a looming dark cloud. That might be where you need to make some tough, sobering decisions about something regarding someone else, close relationships, home, family, living situation, something emotional. You will get through it though. You're going to be having a lot of stimulation in your career sector at the same time. So maybe you're just like under a lot of pressure. Maybe there's stuff going on at work. Maybe you're just like having to put in a lot of effort and you're just tired and burnt out. You might just feel very exhausted. Honestly, that can be part of it too. The nodes are then going to move into your 5th house of love, sex, romance, children, pregnancy. So that's actually very exciting because once we get to the end of July, you're starting a new 18-month chapter where there's a lot of focus and spotlight on love, sex, romance, children, pregnancy, joy, pleasure, fun, anything that's just fun for the sake of being fun. You start to invite joy into your house. I just had this transit actually. I had the North Node go through my 5th house since the beginning of 2025 until this summer, and this was the most fun I've ever had in my life. This was arguably the most fun year of my life. So you at least have that to look forward to. Okay, you haven't been employed since February either. Well, despite employment, you're gonna be happy. I'll say that. Maybe by the end of this, once the nodes, so I'll say by the end of July, I think you'll have a job figured out because the nodes are going to reach their final degrees of your employment sector. So usually they go in and out with a bang. So you will likely by then at the very latest, like figure something out with work. Oh, and like I said, Mars is going to be in your relationship sector, or your career sector at the very end of July and early August too. So you're going to have undeniable stimulation with your professional life. which obviously that's a little bit kind of far away. So I'm not saying that you'll have to wait until that point, but like, I really think regardless, you will have something going on with employment and career by the end of July, last week of July. But I think that that's it. I think that's all I have for you. We've covered all the major transits. Ow. You'll have eclipses, a lot of eclipses over the next year and a half having to do with joy, pleasure, romance, happiness, friendships, who you're surrounded by, who you surround yourself with, your larger vision of life, goals, dreams, all of that. So that's at least something to look forward to. I probably should have started with that, TBH. But yeah, I think that's what I want to end with. You're another one where I'm like not too worried about you. Like, you don't have anything that's like super awful or difficult. I think too in 2027 you might move or have like a spiritual awakening. You'll have Jupiter through the 11th house. I think you're going to make more friends this year. I think you're going to really figure out what you want. You might learn something new. School might be in the picture. You might even like grow your social media or do something having to do with social media, connection, social life. This summer in August, you'll have Venus going through your first house too. That's usually good stuff falling into place. Do you see an NYC moving? What would it indicate moving? We could say I'm still in 2026, right? Again, maybe in August. Ooh, okay. We'll say August, or is this still gonna happen at the end of August? I would say the middle of August to the middle of September, there might be a move because you have Jupiter trine your moon, which is supportive, and Jupiter is long distance, it's different cities, it's traveling, and the moon is going to be your physical home or your living situation. So maybe Saturn like giving you a little bit of tension around your moon around the same time, around late August, is that it's difficult to move, or that maybe you're like a little sad to leave whoever's around you, or there could be, if you're around family or something, there might be some more distance with family. There could just be some sort of emotional departure that's like heavier than you initially expected it to be, but you're moving into a place that's more aligned with what you want on a grand scale. For the readings, I need your birth date, time, and the city that you were born in. Oh, this is late for me to still be drinking coffee. But it's Friday, who cares? But I hope that was helpful. And I want to hear how everything ends up going for you. And that's not me saying you will not get a job before July. That's just like an indicator to me of like what would be like, oh, this is a very big, obvious conception window for moving. Wait, who just... Wait, who just... Oops. I knew I was gonna do that. Sorry, I just paused. Okay, I got... is your name Marissa? I swear it just said Maria. Am I crazy? Whoever just bought one on Shopify, I got that. For the person who sent, okay, it is Maria. I was like, am I crazy? For the person who just sent their date, for their birth information from Colombia, you need to buy a rating, and I will do one for you. So you can either send it on Cash App. Sometimes I do Zelle if you need to do Zelle. But I'm gonna pull up Maria's. Okay, guys, I truly need to pee so bad, so give me 1 second. Sorry. I've been like drinking so much water since getting here, and my coffee. Did this even fucking charge? It didn't. What degree is Saturn in right now? I think it's at 9, or it might have moved to 10 today. And the moon conjunct Saturn thing that I was talking about, Saturn was conjunct her moon, and that's not for everybody. It was just for the person that I was reading for. I don't even know what the moon is in today. But give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. Okay, y'all. I have ankle weights on and they fucking hurt. Like, they're just hurting my ankle. Ow! Do I just take them off? I literally feel like I'm getting blisters just from the movement, not even from the weight. Okay, center's good. As a Scorpio rising since it's transiting your 8th house. So we have Uranus is going through our 8th house. It first moved in last July, and for me, like, I had really unexpected car issues that still to this day are draining my bank account. Like, literally I've spent thousands of dollars on the car, on repairing it, and then the person I paid for the repair fucked it up more, and then I had to get a million different rental cars, and now I owe on the car because I was still financing it, so I can't get a new car. I tried to get a new car, but then I was going to be upside down and financing a new car because I'm still paying off the one that I have that's broken. Like, a lot of annoying, unexpected financial shit in that sense. And then I also, the 8th house is what you share with other people. I had a roommate living here, and we had like a really bad falling out, and so she moved out, so then I unexpectedly had to start paying double rent, and now I have to move out because I just don't want to be here, and because I'm like, why am I paying $2,500 to be somewhere that I don't even like? And so a lot of unexpected and, you know, surprising things with things that I share with other people, or debt or money, like anything like that. I'm certainly feeling the effects of it since it even touched my 8th house last year, but I'm hoping that I can start seeing the good part, which is like other people investing in you, other people's resources, having like surprise opportunities, things like that. I didn't accomplish it. But that was in the midst of like, I literally got really sick and like burnt myself out with my health. So I'm grateful that I didn't pull it off, because it forced me to, I really had to tend to my health. Like, I really have been ignoring it for years, basically. Not ignoring it, but like just, I'm pulling up your chart, Maria. Really pushing through it, and I shouldn't have been doing that, and I learned my fucking lesson. So I'm grateful for that period, even though the first half of this year, literally up until like 2 weeks ago, was so bad. Like, so bad. I was so suicidal. I feel like you're not allowed to say that on here. And a lot of that too was because of my health. Like, I had very low ferritin, and it makes you incredibly depressed. I was having like panic attacks every single day. It was just very rough. I had a very, very, very rough first half of the year. Okay, thank you, Maria, for sending your information. I don't, like, I'm trying to do them more often. I haven't been on here in like literal months. So I'd like to say I'm going to do them more often, but I always say that, and then I like disappear for a few months, but hopefully not now, since I'm like more of a normal person. Okay, April 13th. 1994. Oh my God. Guys, I'm hypermobile, like on the left side of my body. And my arm, my whole life, has always done this really bad crack. So trigger warning, because I'm gonna do it right now. I have to do it like literally every 20 minutes to like feel good, to like feel adjusted. But listen, it's so bad. And it's done that my whole life. And it makes me like sore. My posture is making me so sore. Do I have the right? Okay. April 13, 1994, 5 p.m. Ecuador. Okay, cool. It depends what reading you're talking about. It should tell you in any, if you're getting like an ebook reading or like a report reading, it'll tell you in the description how many pages it is usually. If you're talking about the May predictions, they're like 6 pages maybe, 3 pages of predictions, and then 2 pages of collective predictions. If you're talking about the 2026 forecasts, I think it's 19 pages, and that's every major transit. Oh, yeah, Saturn in the 6th house is like one of my, is arguably my most awful placement. And it's square my fucking sun, dude. My health has been bad my whole life, literally. Okay. And not by choice. Like, I was like born a wellness girl because I try so much harder than the average person to do everything right and take care of myself, and it just like doesn't move the needle that much. But I don't give up. Every single day I'm open-minded to like literally I try everything. I will try anything. But yeah, a big common denominator in my life is this thought of like, I just want to feel better. I'm so tired. Okay, Maria, we are doing your, yeah. It's like chronic autoimmune. I also have a Virgo moon. Okay, Maria, you are not a Virgo. You're a Libra rising. I think we just did a Libra rising. Oh, that's why. I'm like, why is Mars in Cancer? I'm looking at the wrong date. Looking at the wrong date. Okay, let's pull back to present day. March, April, May. So in your case, oh yeah, we did just do a Libra rising because we need to talk about the fact that Neptune and Uranus are in your 7th house of relationships. So the example that I gave before is basically just that Saturn is very serious. It's stoic. It's about hard lessons. Wherever Saturn is transiting is going to give you difficulty, challenge, frustration, delays, obstacles, hindrances. It's going to annoy you. It's going to put pressure on you. It's going to feel like, why is shit so much harder than it has to be, even though I'm trying to do everything right? And that's because Saturn likes to teach us through dragging us to hell and back. It likes to teach us by removing all of our comfort. And then he like looks at us and is like, okay, figure it out, work with what you got, work with the very basics. You have to return back to basics so you can prove to yourself that you are strong enough to figure things out even when they get very difficult. So when that goes through your relationship sector, that's usually what happens. Your relationships usually get a little difficult. There's some tension. There's a lot more responsibility. You need to be more committed. You need to be more disciplined. You need to see things through. They're not just these frivolous little fun, emotional, like things anymore where you're just dating and everything's perfect. It's like all of a sudden things get more serious, or there's more difficulty, struggle in understanding this person. You need to maintain your partnership through compromise and forgiveness and these things that start to really feel like they pile on your back and make you buckle at your knees. And it can feel like the people that you're close to are bringing you more problems or discomfort than ease and harmony. So this doesn't have to be limited to your romantic relationship. So if you're single and you're like, girl, I don't know what the hell you're on about, this can be your interpersonal relationships. It can be your family. It can be your clients. If you do any client work, it can be, did I say business partnerships, contracts, collaborations, people that you're just supposed to be on the same page about, working in tandem with, holding hands with, suddenly just getting cold, repressed, distant, difficult, frustrating for whatever reason, or it can start to lack inspiration and become boring and uninspired and just feel like, damn, this isn't a source of fun anymore. This isn't a source of warm, easy flowing connection. This feels like a liability almost. If you're in a serious committed relationship and there's like no difficulty, like you guys aren't arguing or something, there might just be what is like a new chapter where you need to explore how to come back to each other in a way that does maintain seriousness and mutual respect and commitment, but not to the point where you just feel like you're in this militant robotic connection. You also have Neptune going through here as well. And anyone who feels shitty, you got to get blood work. That's the first thing you need to do. Get your blood work done. Having Neptune go through the 7th house is simultaneously bringing a different sort of experience. So Saturn's that cold, serious, like structured planet, where Neptune is this melting ice. It's this flowing, airborne sort of looming ghosty energy, which can bring a lot of confusion and blurred lines and a lack of boundaries and some deception and some weird intuitive feelings that something's off, something's wrong. There can be some deception, there can be some manipulation, there can be something behind the curtain. You could be brushing things under the rug. It has this sort of hidden mystical nature to it. So having these two planets occupying your relationship sector at the same time can be disorienting, because it's like things are getting tougher, things are getting harder. You need to take them more seriously and make some sound, practical decisions that are very black and white. But at the same time, you're getting very emotional. You want to make decisions from an emotional place because you have a weird feeling, but you don't have evidence for these feelings. So now you're just having a tug of war between what feels right, but what is true, or what might not be true, but you like have a feeling that you just want to continue going with things the way that they are. Like there's some sort of disruption or interruption between faith and fact and emotions and knowing, knowledge, logic, which this is going to last a few years. You're going to have Neptune in here for 13 to 14 years. Like it's taken its time in here. Saturn's going to be here for 3 years. So the first thing I want to say to you is congrats, because when Saturn first ingressed into your relationship sector, like right beforehand, so like February, March of 2025, and then right before Valentine's Day of this year, Saturn was conjunct your Mars, which is so annoying. It's such an annoying, frustrating aspect. This is the same transit that someone else had. It's stepping on the gas and the brakes at the same time. It's like you want to go, and there's a restriction. There's a punishment. Your wrist is getting slapped. You're being told no. There's something in the way. You can't break the rules. You can't disrespect this authority figure. You're blocked from something. You are, there's some sort of wall that you keep hitting when Saturn conjoins your Mars. On the other hand, it can be that you're really tired and you're burnt out and you don't have energy and you're just exhausted of something, but you don't have the time or the ability or the resources or the circumstances to rest and recoup and like brush yourself off for a second. So I guess that would be my first thing that I'm curious about is last February, March of 2025, and then right before Valentine's Day, probably first half of February this year, Saturn was in such a difficult aspect to your natal Mars, very much annoying. And then I want to say Neptune was here too until maybe also February or maybe the beginning of January, which is just uncertain. It's uncertain, it's self-doubt, it's lack of feeling secure in your decisions. It is like, I don't even know up from down, right from wrong anymore. I literally am so confused. I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. It can be very hesitant. It can be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So thankfully, both of those are behind you, but it really set the stage for what is going to be a handful of years moving forward, where you're going to have to learn very karmic, serious, fated relationships very karmic, serious lessons about relationships and about how you navigate them, the decisions you make, the cycles that you're in, why you do the things you do, why you attract the people you attract, why the people who you're with feel comfortable doing the things that they do, the standards you have, the boundaries you have, the expectations you have or lack thereof. And you actually very recently, like literally maybe 2 weeks ago, just also surpassed another 2 difficult transits. The first one was Saturn was conjunct your Mercury. So Mercury is speaking, talking, writing, it's ideas, it's communication. It similarly limited or restricted your ability to communicate, to think straight, to feel comfortable at all, think comfortably at all, especially within your relationships, which can oftentimes be a wake-up call. It can be sobering news. It could be a breakup. It could be, we have to cut this thing off. We have to pause this thing. We have to stop this thing. Let's take a break. It's a bad argument. It's a very cold exchange. There can be a delay, there can be distance, there can be frustrations, a lot of tension with your closest relationships. And then right after it broke the conjunction to your Mercury, so how you think and communicate, There could have even been like an environmental or transportation issue there too. Or inaccessibility to someone close to you, like they're blocking you out or shutting you out or giving you the silent treatment or something. Right after that, it came into a square with your midheaven and your IC. So that's the most private area of your life versus the most public area of your life, which can bring some slowness, difficulty, obstacle, frustration, or tension to your living situation, your private life, what goes on behind closed doors, your just emotional stability, your foundation, as well as your public image, your reputation, your professional success, your career. Some sort of tension has been building since the second half of January and started to just increasingly get tighter and tighter and tighter. And literally up until like last week, the tension might finally start to feel like it's slowing down, where you're like, okay, I'm starting to be able to like breathe again, because it's broken all of the aspects that it's been in a very tight connection to literally the last like 4 months. So you at least have the reassurance that that stuff's behind you. Okay. So you don't have to worry about things feeling as suffocating as they might have felt, this first half of the year. At the very worst, if you're like, nothing's been that bad, it can just be depression, loneliness, boredom, lack of inspiration, exhaustion, burnout, being very tired. Yeah. Like feeling like over it, being like, oh my fucking God, like when am I going to get a break? And Saturn tends to have that effect where it's like one thing after another, like you're just getting beat down as soon as you stand up. So that is behind you, and that's been in your relationship sector. Good, we covered that. The North Node is finishing up an 18-month chapter that began back at the beginning of 2025, where it has really been prioritizing your work, health, employment, job, how you take care of yourself, your day-to-day life, your lifestyle, your routine. So likely been fatedly, just within your circumstances, been telling you over and over again, it's time to focus on your health, it's time to focus on your job, it's time to focus on your productivity and how you get things done and the way you go about your day every day, the sleep schedule you have, the diet you have, the exercise routine you have or don't have. And now it's going to, at the end of July, move into your 5th house. So there's going to be, what you have to look forward to is a lot of focus and spotlight now being shifted from things that are more tedious and boring and just like necessary in being an adult to now a very, very fun area of the chart. It's fun, it's romance, it's sex, it's dating, it's entertainment, it's joy, it's pleasure, it's creativity, it's exploring things that you like just because you like them, having fun just for the sake of having fun. You can be more booked and busy socially moving forward. You might meet someone if you're not with someone. If you are in a romantic relationships, you might find the spark again and there could be some fun re-entering the connection. It's definitely an incredible conception window if you want to have children or if you want to conceive at all. If you don't want to, just be careful. And this can more so be the metaphorical idea of you conceiving like a project or something that is like a baby, something that brings a lot of joy, that you have to nurture, that you pour into, that feels very good. It's very rewarding. And the South Node's gonna go through your social sector too. So naturally, like you might find over the next year and a half, starting towards the middle of the summer, that friends come and go. Romantically, there can be some ups and downs. There's just going to be like a trajectory change, like the feeling of the tectonic plates for children, romance, and your social life just changing a lot. The conception window for children in terms of like a longer chapter of like the focus is now on the theme of reproduction begins July 26th, I believe, at the end of July, all through the remainder of 2026 to the very end of 2027, maybe even like to January of 2028. It's about a year and a half. It's 18 months. So there can be a very large window for that. What I like about this, if you do want children and you're trying to have children, is we're talking at the nodes here, the North Node, which is like faded attention, faded spotlight, as it's going through this sector of romance and children, it's going to come into contact with your natal nodes. So that can be a major life change, as well as your moon, which is fertility as well. Fertility, home, family, living situation, motherhood, your own mom, your physical body, and then your natal Venus, which is love, sex, and relationships, all of which hang out in your 8th house, which has to do with change and transformation, evolution, all of that. So if you do want to have children, the next year and a half is an incredible window. Like it's just one thing after another really points to that. I would say particularly the remainder of 2026, and then you're going to have a few months where it might just be like you're chugging along, and then once it comes into a square with your Venus, which will probably be next year, you'll have another like really big peak for that if that's something that you are interested in. Jupiter is wrapping up its transit that started last June and will wrap up at the end of this June through your career sector. So it's been bringing, hopefully, a lot of opportunity, growth, furthered education, maybe traveling for work, gaining some more wisdom and experience under your belt in your professional life, in your career, in your public image, and your reputation. If it's not work related, it can be your sense of independence and like being a big girl, like pulling up the bootstraps on your own, doing things on your own, proving to yourself and everyone else that you're capable of the things that you want, maybe having some more public attention on you for whatever reason, especially if you work in any sort of industry that has to do with traveling, faith, philosophy, broadcasting, publishing, education, legal matters, anything like that. So you'll be wrapping up that transit at the end of June this year. It'll move into your social sector. So there's a little bit of a contradiction where it's like you're going to probably be making a lot of friends over the next year, summer to summer, so summer 2026 to summer 2027, making a lot of friends, finding like who you belong with, getting a lot of invitations to things, expanding your social network, maybe even growing on social media, getting opportunity through people that you're connected to, maybe being more into manifesting and like focusing more on your vision board of life, larger dreams, your larger sort of things that you want on a grand scale in life, while simultaneously having to let go of other friends or having to release old dreams or having to release any sort of attachment that things need to go exactly the way that you plan when you plan them. You might find that the dominoes do fall in a favorable way for you and you do get everything that you want, but it's in a way that was like totally not what you planned, or the path just ends up looking very different. So I would encourage you to have faith in the end results and not question the trajectory too much of how you get there. You have Uranus, which just entered your 9th house. Again, it first ingressed into this area of the chart last July, temporarily until like September, October, November. And Uranus's shock factor, it's unpredictability, it's letting go of things, it's release. So it has been in your 8th house of shared investments and trust and intimacy, being legally binded to people, institutions, like debt, taxes, money, death, literally all of that since spring of 2018. And you just wrapped it up for good in this lifetime, and it will now be in your 9th house for the next 7 to 8 years, which is traveling, faith, philosophy, education, learning something new. It's spiritual awakenings, religious beliefs, your perspective in life, location changes, cultural changes, things with language, with your broader understanding of the world and the opportunity that's available to you. And I think that covers all of it. I think that I didn't mean to get through that so cohesively, but I actually think that that's all of the transits. We will have a Venus retrograde in your 1st and 2nd house this fall in September and October. So there could be something, especially, okay, so in terms of like pregnancy and children, sometimes that can be indicative of like a big change romantically or with that area of your life, but there could just be some physical changes. You might switch your look up, you might rebrand, you might change something about your hair, anything around like tattoos, piercings, haircuts, like wardrobe shifts, anything like that. Like genuinely with your self-expression, the way you carry yourself might shift a little bit, but there could also be something with your self-worth, the way you nourish your body, your physical body, your finances, your income, your investments, your general concept of value and what is important to you. Just recalibrating. It's not super dramatic. It's just a revisiting of the drawing board. Like there can be some shifts in money, where you get your money, maybe things having to do with marriage or relationships, your physical body, the way you carry yourself, the way you present yourself. Venus rules your 8th house of transformation, money and assets and trust and sex that you share with other people, intimacy you share with other people, as well as your 1st house of self and identity. So yeah, it's likely going to be something aesthetic or feeling like at home, redefining safety and security both in your physical body and with your genuine assets, whatever that means to you. But that's short-lived as well, so we'll close the fall with that. But otherwise, yeah, that like literally covers everything. Talked about Neptune, Saturn, the North Node, Uranus, the Venus retrograde. Yeah, I think that's it. So the 8th house is one of the like muckier taboo areas of the chart because it's where we tuck away like the 12th house is everything we don't see, like it's a blind spot a little bit. And the 8th house is everything we don't want other people to see about us. So this is like fears, it's insecurities, it's trust issues, and those things naturally bleed into like our concept of safety and security. So, you know, if we feel insecure about something, it makes us feel unsafe. If we're afraid of something, it makes us feel insecure. So naturally, the cause and effect is like everyone has things that they use as remedy to band-aid solution their insecurities and fears, and that turns into then vices. So vices can be substance abuse, it can be sleeping, it can be escapism, it can be running away, it can be cheating, it can be, you know, all these uglier things that we do because we're human and we're scared and insecure about literally everything. And then vices lead to shame, and shame becomes, you know, something that we experience because we know deep down there's things we need to work on, but they feel insurmountable and they're very difficult. Yes, Jazzy, I am doing readings. So the 8th house is this like, the best way to describe it makes me think of Halloween. It makes me think of the Grim Reaper. It's very dark. It rules literal and metaphorical death. So it has this sort of serious, scathing, haunting energy to it, where it feels so scary and intimidating, and it truly doesn't have to be that scary. Because if you think of like a fear, like think of a fear you have when you're a child, let's say, like I was so afraid, this is so funny, I was so afraid of the fucking Grudge. My mom and my brother, like they made me so afraid of the Grudge, and they knew it, and they would like taunt me with it. And I remember when I was young, I used to walk, like if I had to pee in the middle of the night, if I had to go to the bathroom, I would literally walk with my back against the wall because I was like so afraid the Grudge was going to be behind me. And this became such an insurmountable fear of mine that at one point I was like, okay, like in my head I was like, and so what? Like, so what if I see the Grudge? Like, what if one day I turn around and the Grudge is there? Like, it's only going to be scary for a second because the scariest thing is like seeing the Grudge. And then after it's like, okay, like what's going to happen, you know? So the funny like thing that I'm trying to draw from that is that most of our fears and insecurities are so scary in theory because we're avoiding them, but that once you face them, they lose the power of being scared. So this is where people have trust issues. This is where people run away from things. They put everything in a box and they tuck it away so no one else sees it. So it's very secretive. It's very taboo. This is where like kinks and stuff lie too. Like your deepest desires that you don't think you can share with people. The thoughts you have that you think might scare the shit out of someone if you say them out loud. So you having 8th house placements and you having just wrapped up a pretty long 8th house transit too, of like a lot of unpredictability with these themes, but also a lot of release. Since spring of 2018, you've likely had to face a lot of scary things, or had things that you didn't think you would be able to get through happen, and you're still here. You got through it. So it did go over your moon at one point. That's your home, family, your living situation. It's your mom. It's your emotional needs. It's trust issues. It went over your Venus. That's love, sex, romance, relationships. You might have had you might across the board in your life like attract people with a lot of baggage, or attract lovers, romantic connections that try to own you, control you, use you, take advantage of you, manipulate you, lie to you. And you have to be mindful that as being someone that has a lot of 8th house placements, you are actually very brave. The things that you might think are most shameful about you are likely the things that make you very brave and strong and vulnerable, emotionally very like have a lot of depth. And therefore, because this is these are valuable traits to have, you might have shame about them, but they're so valuable that you actually need to heavily protect them. Yeah, I mean, that's very valid. That's very valid. You're also probably likely very intuitive, because when you're someone that feels these things and you're very hyper vigilant, you learn how to read cues like that because you're afraid. Like you're functioning through survival mode of like constantly watching your back that something bad's going to happen to you. So you look at life through the lens of threats, like detecting threats. And the bad part is this just creates a bad life experience for you because you're on edge all the time. You can't fully relax. But that's something that you learn to undo throughout life, and you unlearn it as you evolve through your transits and stuff. And that's why I would hope that like with Uranus having just left your 8th house and like disrupting all of your natal placements, all of your birth chart placements, now with it being in your 9th house, this is faith and perspective and like the way that you view the world. And it might not feel like it right now because the transit just started, but you might not be so scared anymore. Like, honestly, moving forward, you might, in the next year or two, start having this chapter where you look back in hindsight and you're like, you just release your attachment to these fears. You might start to be like, what the fuck was I so scared about? Or like, I can't believe I spent so much time worrying so much. And like, as someone, this is what the program I was talking about that I'm doing in June, like, this is part of why I'm doing it. I don't think I give the impression of this. Everyone in my personal life says that I don't give this impression because the way I carry myself is not really reflective of like how the experience I have internally. I am an incredibly anxious person. I'm very positive I have OCD. I've been diagnosed with a panic disorder, with agoraphobia. I really, while I act very confident, and I am confident, I'm a very hypervigilant person, and constantly I've lived nearly my entire life in survival mode. And so trust me, I know what you feel and what you're talking about, and I don't want my advice to sound like it's coming from someone who's never dealt with those things. But what has really like helped me over the years is that you cannot, like, something weird that I do is I'm so afraid of my mom dying. I can't bear the thought. Like, I literally do not know what I'm gonna do when that happens. So because I'm mentally ill in that way, I obsess over it. And I think if I just keep thinking about it over and over and over again, maybe I can like mentally and emotionally prepare myself so that when it does happen, it won't be as bad. I can soften the blow, and that somehow by worrying about it and ruining my present life experience, it's gonna make it easier if and when the moment comes. A lot of like grieving, not just death, but just grieving loss and pain and distrust and betrayal, because I've already experienced those things so many times, and they've disrupted my world and hurt so badly. And I'm sure that's what you've experienced too. You convince yourself that if you just keep thinking about these things all the time for if and when they happen, that it won't hurt as bad and you won't look as dumb this time and you'll have more armor up and protect yourself. All that does is ruin your current experience. It robs you of a nice life of value and joy and pleasure, because you are living in this hypothetical world where you only ever get hurt. And it revokes your ability to truly be present and enjoying things. And then when the good times pass, you're probably very nostalgic as well. You look back and you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize like how fun that time of my life was, or how pretty I was, or how good that friend was, because you had been so hypervigilant and on edge the whole time that like everything you were seeing with your own eyes wasn't even true or accurate, or that you shouldn't trust your own judgment because everything and everyone is out to get you. And the difficulty with this, and it sucks because like in any sort of therapy you do where it's fear-based or like insecurity-based, the only way to stop being this way is exposure therapy. And you have to rip the Band-Aid off and operate from a place of, sure, if you can't stop your brain from running rampant with these awful thoughts, that's fine, but you have to allow your body to not give a fuck about that and do the things anyways, and your mind will eventually catch up once it has enough evidence and data that the world is not that threatening and always trying to fucking kill you or take you out emotionally. Meaning that with relationships, you can meet someone new who you know on paper is incredible, and you know they're valuable, you know they're a great person, and you can navigate through the first 19 months of this relationship thinking they're probably going to cheat on me, or maybe they already did cheat on me, or maybe I should just act like they already did cheat on me, so then if I find out that cheated on me, I didn't feel like I sacrificed too much because I was never fully invested. And now you just wasted 19 months making decisions out of pain and fear when you could have had like the best 19 months of your life being present in the joy. And the acceptance that has to come with this is like, not be toxically positive that like bad things don't happen or you won't get hurt, but that if and when you get hurt, you're gonna know how to deal with it because you've dealt with that before. So therefore you should enjoy what's good, and if and when that moment comes, you'll get through it, just like you've gotten through a million other things that were likely far worse than just having like someone you're dating being distrustful or something like that. You want to live a life of, like so what's rather than what ifs, so that you can have a nice, full, quality, flourishing, fulfilling life. And those things that are painful, just end up being these little temporary blips that hurt really bad when they happen, and then you got to move on from them, rather than looking behind you in your life and having just a whole timeline of like pain that didn't have to be real, but was only real because you made it real because you were afraid to be in pain, so you just put yourself in pain. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so frustrating that we do this to ourselves, like truly, but it usually is coming solely from a place of fear. And fear makes us hypervigilant to control. And we think if we control everything, then nothing bad will happen to us. And fortunately and unfortunately, that's not true. And that's just not how life works. So for your own sake, try to just embrace things and be present. You know, they always say depression is living in the past and anxiety is living in the future. So if you're struggling with those things, especially around unresolved pain or wounds or stuff like that, it's likely because you're not being present enough. And once you start being present enough and you do the exposure therapy and you rip the Band-Aid off and you do the things that scare you and you trust people, you start to realize like, oh, it's pretty cool over here. Like, it's actually pretty nice to do these things, and you'll be good. You know, and again, if and when something bad happens, you'll figure it out just like you figure out everything else out. But anyway, I know I just got off on a tangent. I hope that was helpful for you. But those are all of your main transits, your big transits. And my whole point in mentioning that is you're having Uranus move into your perspective sector. So I think you will be enlightened that the next few years will start to look different in terms of you seeing the world through a different lens that isn't so masked by like a dark cloud. Because Uranus through the 8th house probably like made you that way. Since spring of 2018. Honestly, even since 8 years prior to that. Since 2010, because Uranus fucked up your whole relationship sector and then your whole fear sector. So it can start to feel like the veil, you get to move the veil back and you're like seeing the world fresh and clean and new again and not masked by this like mucky dark fog or something like that. You might start to feel lighthearted, more lighthearted in the way that you view life and navigate it. And you might have some very eye-opening experiences that spiritually sort of awaken you in that way. I hate when it makes me do this puzzle piece thing. But yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. 8th house placements in general typically have, it's not that they have it harder, you're just experiencing it more intimately. You might feel things more than the average person. What can first Uranus? Okay, wait. Uranus going through the first house, you're the change. You're the unpredictable one. You're the impulsive, erratic one that's affecting everybody else. It can be that you start to really step into your authenticity, but in a way that to other people seems like you're like crashing out or having a crisis or losing your fucking mind, when it's likely that you're being your true self for the first time. But it can make you spontaneous. It can make you very unpredictable. It can throw unexpected things on your path. You're just kind of letting your freak flag fly, and naturally that makes your life start juggling into this like spontaneous circumstance, because you're moving differently, making decisions differently, embracing things differently than you had up until this point of it moving into your first house. I want to eat this fucking sashimi in my fridge, so I might head out and then I will save this live. Literally my lips are dry from like fucking talking so much. From yapping. But I love you all. I hope that this was helpful for you guys. I hope whoever was listening just to listen, this provided you with some value. I love talking to you guys. I'm again gonna try to be on here more often. But have a wonderful Friday. I will try to come on during the weekend. If I can't, I hope everyone has a great weekend and I will be on here again next week. But I love y'all. I will talk to you soon. And Have the best weekend ever. Love you guys.